The Prime Minister, who's credited with opening up the doors for Bharat as he was Finance Minister during the time of P.V. Narasimha Rao, liberalizing Bharat and setting it on an economic path where perhaps subsequently, even after Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, we continue to walk on that path. The dream of a Viksit Bharat by 2047 were the doors opened in 1990. Joining us now is a gentleman who was perhaps the Commerce Secretary at that time, Deputy Chair of the Planning Commission between 2004 and 2014. Montek Singh Ahluwalia ji, namaste. This is Anand here. Thank you for your time. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Your thoughts on Dr. Manmohan Singh. How would you like to remember him?
Well, look, I had a very strong personal relationship. So right now, we're all overwhelmed with the sense of loss. I've just expressed my condolences to the family. But the country will certainly remember him as the person who made the most difference to putting India on a new growth path. And if today, for example, people are much more optimistic about where India can get and what our potential is, that is almost entirely due to the changes that he brought about in 1991. Now, it's not just the intellectual importance of making those changes, because there was an intellectual consensus that these are changes that were necessary. Not everybody agreed, but a lot agreed. But getting it done, getting these things accepted by a political system which was actually against this kind of change, and doing it through persuasion and consultation and bringing people on board, this was quite a remarkable achievement. And I think if younger people today think that India has huge prospects, which many of them do, I think that's due to what he did in 1991, and not just 1991. He did that through the period when he was finance minister. Then more importantly, governments that succeeded that government carried on in the same direction. The United Front government, thereafter the Vajpayee government, and then of course the UPA government, where he was actually the Prime Minister. So in this entire period, there's been a very broad continuity. And I think that's quite a remarkable achievement. You need that kind of consensus, continuity, consultation to make a democracy move forward. And many people felt that it would not be possible. I think he showed it's possible.
Well, many used or have said that his silence or his choice, measured approach towards saying things in public was a sign of weakness. Would you agree or would you disagree, or would you say that his resilience came through in how he conducted himself?
All the finance ministers that we've ever had, he was the most open to discussing things in public. I think that that question about silence, that was really at a particular period during his prime ministership, when there were constant accusations that some scam or the other is going on. Never an accusation about Dr. Manmohan Singh himself. There was complete agreement that he was completely beyond any unscrupulous activity, but allegations about others. And I think maybe he didn't respond all the time to those. But I think in terms of the substance of economic policy, he engaged in more direct discussion, direct involvement, and even acceptance of criticism than almost anyone else. So I think he was a very open policy maker and very willing to not only to listen to others, but he would very often recognize what is not possible and share that quite frankly with people.
Was he respected among his own peers within the UPA, Montek Singh ji? Or did he share with you times when he felt disrespected and perhaps he just wanted to walk away, especially as the Prime Minister?
Well, look, you can never make a statement about what are the views of one group of politicians about another. But if you look back in retrospect, I mean, I think that even within the UPA, he did manage to hold the UPA together. I mean, after all, one of the most remarkable things that he did in the second term, rather in the first term, right towards the end, was to go in for the nuclear deal. With the United States,
Yes.
the Indo-US nuclear deal. That was very controversial. And there are many people opposing it, but he managed to bring everyone together. So that does reflect a sort of basic respect. I think that, while people always have political differences, I think they respected the fact that here was a person who was completely honest and transparent. And if he thought something was in the national interest, even if it was politically a little difficult, he would be willing to stand up and push for it.
In the second part, UPA 2, was there any instance where he thought he was not being given the respect, and also within his own UPA, within the...
Well, I can't speak for how he felt, let me put it that way.
Did he share it with you?
I very frequently urged him to write his own memoirs so that one would get a sense of how he felt. Because really, amongst political colleagues, it's all very subtle. And you shouldn't judge it by whatever people say in the newspapers or in TV channels. So I don't know how he felt about these things.
One aspect of his, one quality of his, which you would like leaders of today and perhaps thinkers going forward, who would want to drive the country forward, should imbibe, something that stays with you too?
Well, I think perhaps the most, in his first budget speech, he made some statement quoting Victor Hugo that, nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. And the idea of India as an important superpower or something is an idea whose time has come. So, I'm looking back, I think it's this broad vision that India must move forward much faster than she's been doing. And this is something that remains valid even today. So hopefully, it will work out. But I think we will need to have the same kind of broad-based building of a consensus which he was so good at. And I think if we can do that, then we will see some good results.
Personally, a moment that you would like to share with us? I know you were very close. It's
look, for me, he was a mentor. He was a role model. Both my late wife Isha and I viewed him as an ideal kind of person to be inspired by. And it was because of him that we both decided to come back from the US, giving up our careers there with the World Bank and the IMF and so on, and me to government in India and Isha to academic life. So for us, he was really a role model. And later on became a good friend. We became friends of the family. So that makes the loss even greater, a personal loss, not just a kind of a professional loss.
My condolences, and may his Divangat Atma attain Sadgati. Montek Singh Ahluwalia ji, there are many who believe that he is deserving of a Bharat Ratna. Would you join in the chorus? My final question.
Well, look, I think, I've never, whether you give people Bharat Ratnas or not, whoever decides these things should take a sense of the country. But I can think of very few people who have contributed more to the country in the last 30 years in giving it a new direction and articulating the need for that direction. But at the same time, not doing it as a break from the past, but more as saying, look, the time has come to do this. So, these awards, etc., are something different. I think his status is independent of whether the authorities give him an award or not.
A fitting tribute indeed, Montek Singh Ahluwalia ji. Thank you.